Parliament. She said bad things when she appeared before the Human Rights Commission. And she said what she said. I picked up the phone, I phoned General Mkhwanazi. And I asked General Mkhwanazi, I said, Minister, you were in that meeting. This Minister of Defense says when they arrived in KZN, a group of ministers, I started addressing them about things that have got nothing to do with the state of security that existed at the province at the time, but I addressed them on things that were necessary. You can go on YouTube and replay that when she appeared before the Human Rights Commission. After learning that, I phoned General Mkhwanazi and asked General Mkhwanazi, do you want me to go to this Human Rights Commission and tell the South Africans about the close meeting that I had with you? What did we discuss? And General Mkhwanazi pleaded that I shouldn't do that. It was difficult. I didn't do that. But that stayed with me. That I deliberately left an operation. And I went to entertain my wife because she gave birth to a child during the thick of things. That was her words. And if I were to highlight on what transpired there, the riot started and the riot ended. The ministers had to come in a day before the president came to assess the damage done already. They flew into the province. They arrived in the province, they wanted to be briefed because they must be ready for their boss that is coming. So they were not part of the operation. Yeah, they participated in a mop-up operation, not in the violence. The violence was long gone. When they landed, we briefed them about what has happened, past tense. And they stayed there, the president arrived, then they briefed the president, and from there I left. What she did not appreciate, even at the time, was that I got into the aeroplane after the riot. I flew to Pretoria. My wife gives birth today. The following day, I took her out of the hospital with a newly born and got into the vehicles. We drove 1,000 kilometers to transport her to her parents. And I left her there in a safe place, and I got on the aeroplane and I flew back to Durban because I cared about the safety of the citizens in the province. But we have the Minister of Defense who doesn't appreciate that, who says to me, I left the operation, I entertained my family issues. So I took an offense on that because it was bad. Close meeting that we are having. They arrive in the province, the premier is sitting there, Mr. Sigalala, the Minister of Defense, State Security, Police, and other MECs. The first request to them was that, can we excuse the rest of the junior members? I want to address you as executive, and the generals of the army, and the head of State Security at the time. They agreed. Others left. We sat in that meeting. I wanted to vent my frustration as a member of the security cluster in government, as a general in the police. The fortunate part that has happened to me is that I've been working in units that work very close with the military. So I've got colleagues in the army that talks to me from time to time. We exchange training. I know the challenges they're experiencing on a daily basis. When I address those seniors on the day, the first thing I started with, say that I was political or otherwise, but I had to shoot straight. Then I said, all of you sitting here, I believe you are coming from the same political party. Your interest must be aligned, all of you. This interest is safety of this country. But what we have allowed to happen with the security cluster is not fair. It's what brings us here today. And I started in examples, and I started with each one of them. I said, Premier, you did A to Z, and that's not right. Minister of Defense, you go to the national TV, you say there's X number of soldiers deployed in KZN, and you're lying. The colonel in charge of the province in KZN has got 150 soldiers. The 150 soldiers don't have vehicles to get out of the base. And those few vehicles that are there don't have diesel because there's no contract on diesel in the military. And those diesel that are